My next guest is Janine Tompkins. She runs a company called Atomik Vixen. She is very into the vintage scene in Colchester, and she's here at BBC Essex this evening. Good evening, Janine.
Hello.
Thank you so much for coming in. Atomik Vixen is a lovely name for a company.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I previously was trading under Dotted Fox, changed to Atomik Vixen because it's very much more in tune with my vintage background and the Vixen element, female fox. So
Nice.
Women's business run by a woman on her own. So that's kind of why we went for that name.
I think it is a very appropriate name for you. Tell me about you then. You run the business, you focus on event management, marketing, that kind of thing. Have you built it entirely from scratch on your own?
Yes, well, I've been doing events since about 2013 when I started with Secret Vintage Fair. That began with my colleague Lucy Stone, who's an absolutely fantastic lady, and she came up with the Secret Vintage concept, and then we worked together on that. Lucy sadly moved away now, but we're still in contact, which is great. And I've been doing the Secret Vintage events, wedding fairs, art fairs, cocktail parties, all sorts of things like that. And then the marketing, obviously, that comes in because I've been doing it with the events. I've been doing it for other sort of small businesses, and there's a local burlesque troupe I work with, Burlesque Bangs, and they're absolutely fantastic, and they do a lot of our events as well.
Marvellous. One of my colleagues here does burlesque. I shan't name her, just in case she doesn't want that known on the radio. But yes, she has a lot of fun.
She might have a little burlesque name as well.
Yeah.
You can name that.
It looks so much fun, what she does. So talk to me, if I was going to come along to a Secret Vintage World event, what exactly, what's the deal? What would I see and how would I get there and all that stuff?
So with the Secret Vintage events, I've been doing them for a few years, and we always make sure it's not just shopping, because I don't want to bring someone just the retail side of things. So you go in the event and there's loads of stalls, really amazing independent traders selling from anything from dresses to furniture to homewares and gifts. But it's not just that. We've got singers and bands. Like I said, we have burlesque sometimes, but it's very family friendly because it's daytime events. We've had magicians. So everything we do, we make it a real experience. So it's not just shopping, it is like a whole event, and everyone's kind of dressed up and really into the vintage style and the vintage scene.
And these happen in Colchester, of course.
In Colchester, I've had it throughout. We've done a few in East Anglia, but Colchester is our hometown, and that's where we always do our events. We always sort of focus on there. And so what I like to do is choose a different location in Colchester to highlight something different about Colchester that you might not have seen before. So we've done things in First Sight, the art gallery. We've done Liquid, which is it's not Liquid anymore, it's now Atomik. So it's the nightclub on the high street.
Yeah, down near the bus stops.
Yes, near the bus stops on the high street. And you wouldn't imagine it to be the sort of place you'd normally do an event like that. But it works so well. It was this huge theatre, Edwardian theatre, and it was just so beautiful, filled up with all the stalls. And I mean, I used to go in there when I was about 18, so
you
it's a little bit different.
The sticky floors.
Yes.
And the thumping bass lines, but you didn't have so many of those.
Not so many of that, but yeah, it's a real difference to bring something different to a venue and sort of highlight that it's more versatile, and how Colchester is more versatile than just what you might expect, which is what I really enjoy doing.
One of the things that always strikes me about Colchester, I've been mentioning certain shopping streets and even places like Queen Street, is the amount of independent shops. I think more than Chelmsford, more than Southend, more than Basildon, it has so many little individual, unique, quirky businesses. I mean, that must be something that's great for someone like you. Why do you think that there is that appetite for sort of individual in Colchester?
I think Colchester as a town, it's so, it's kind of almost a round town, if that makes sense. It's that sort of close-knit town centre, so you can walk anywhere and you can kind of get round to the same people. And it's the creativity, the people who are there, they're really sort of excited about making the town better. And it's just so friendly. I think people just want to bring something new to it. So it's constantly new businesses popping up, new things happening. So it is really exciting. I love the fact that there's independent shops in there. It's fantastic.
You are born and bred as well. You are a Colchester woman.
Yes.
Through and through.
Yes. I've lived there all my life, and I have a little bit of a reputation about banging on about how much I love Colchester. So I wasn't really surprised when you invited me on. So I was like, it's my favourite place.
It's like my dream.
It is.
I mean, do you bang on about it because people in your life have said, oh, Essex girl, oh, Colchester, and we have this label attached to us in Essex that we're not cultured and we don't have history and all that sort of stuff, when the opposite is true.
Yeah, completely. I mean, I think people sort of think if you're not a big city, if you're not London, if you're not Manchester, if you're not a huge city, you've got nothing to offer. But Colchester has so much to offer with all the history and, like you say, the independent shops. And the creativity in Colchester is just beyond anything. You've got, like you were saying about Queen Street, with 15 Queen Street and 37 Queen Street, there are loads of small artists, graphic designers, lots of things going on, and constantly new events happening, and things just are happening all the time. And it's just so beautiful. And it is not your cliche Essex town. It's something for everyone there.
You are banging the drum.
I am. I'm going a bit crazy on that.
Well, no, I think it is only right to, because the more we can talk about what's great about Essex, the better.
Yes, 100%.
I feel like, you know, we could make like a mega mix of this programme and show people different places every night and force them to watch it and listen to it in schools. You know, that's logistically possible, isn't it? In terms of vintage, what has got you into clothing, and what do you love about the idea of holding these vintage events? Is there something appealing about it to you?
Well, with the vintage, I went to university and studied history. I've always been really interested in history and stories. So that sort of step towards vintage was a natural one for me, because vintage clothing isn't just about how beautiful it is, which it is really beautiful. It's also about the stories that come behind it. So after I had my kids, I opened up a vintage shop. So first of all, it was online, and then it was in the town centre. So I was selling vintage clothes and haberdashery and things. And it really just, I loved that ability to bring new life to old things and bring those stories back to life as well. Because I think it's so important to be able to show that the past has a relevance to the present, and they just keep those stories alive, and especially in Colchester, such a historic town.
The appetite is there, isn't
Definitely.
it? Surely, because everywhere you walk, even from places like Colchester Castle, which is not as old as some other areas of town, you know, it's such a part. It's interwoven, isn't it? That must be pretty good for you as a Colchester woman to sort of walk around and think, yeah, there's this history in front of me, and what I'm doing is kind of celebrating that almost.
100%. You can't walk around Colchester without bumping into something which is historical, and that's either right back, like you said, back to Norman, Roman, Colchester, the Siege of Colchester, or like more recent history. Like you've got Blur comes from Colchester, and that's kind of your cultural history from recently. And it's just, there's so much Colchester has to offer and has had to offer. And I don't think, that's the one thing I think the town could do better, is to really blow its own trumpet a little bit more. And there are so many people in Colchester who want Colchester to be known about and shouted about, that it really does deserve more people to love it.
If people are wondering, she sounds great, where can I find out more or come to one of the Secret Vintage World events? You have a few through the year, don't you?
Yes, we've got a few through the year, and our next one is on the 23rd of March, and that's 11 till 4. And we don't normally reveal the location until a couple of weeks before, but I thought it was a little special treat. And also, because I'm useless at keeping secrets, it's actually going to be in Colchester Town Hall.
Ooh,
so we're back
exciting.
at one of our favourite venues, over 2 floors, loads of stalls. We've got Tristy Vogue playing. We've got some burlesque girls coming along from Burlesque Bangs, and Monkey Staff, who've recently opened up a shop in Colchester. They should be there as well. So we've got lots and lots of things going on. So, and we're supporting Emmaus. That's our last fair, supporting Emmaus, and then we move on to a new charity next time.
Brilliant. And I feel like it's a nice little exclusive as well. Colchester Town Hall is the location. 23rd of March. Lots to look forward to. Thank you so much, Janine Tompkins from Atomik, Vixen. Wonderful to hear from you this evening.